Hey everybody, this is Crowmar with TGN, and I'm here today to bring you some more Rift coverage. And what are we looking at today? This is the Greenscale raid. This is not a guide, this is just kind of a preview, show you some trash, show you some wipes in the boss. We actually didn't down the boss, but what we did was we put together a nice half pickup group. Not really a pickup group, to be honest, though. It was a mixture of our two guilds, Invictus and my guild, which is I Play Without Pants On. And there were more of them than us, but it was still a really good mixture. And the raid leader was from Invictus, and he did a fantastic job keeping everybody in line, keeping everybody informed, and making sure everything went smooth. So my hat's off to him. And yeah, everything went really well. I felt like, I mean, this was not a hardcore raid by any means. It was just sort of thrown together, you know. And went very well for what it was, and you know, nobody was really expecting to be here too long. We only raided for like 2 hours, but I was glad to be able to see Greenscale and get a preview of the instance. And so anyway, the trash you saw was just a tree, no big deal. I'm only going to show a couple trash groups, not all of them, because that would get boring after a while. And then I'll show a couple wipes on the boss, first boss, Letareus. But anyway, so this next trash pull, these fairy groups were pretty easy. We didn't really have any trouble with them. Our strategy was simply to pick up one with our off tank, and that's the first one we focus down. So you can just focus this threat one at a time, and then the other tank handles everything else. We even did that with 4 pulls because honestly, the damage on the tank was not a big problem. Our tanks are plenty geared for raids, which is 150 toughness, and having no trouble at all with that. And we're having no trouble healing them. The biggest trouble we actually had was threat, believe it or not. It was almost like being back in Molten Core. We actually had to hold off on DPS and allow the tank to get a threat lead. I couldn't believe it. I guess it's Wrath Baby Syndrome. I don't know. And, yeah, so after we down them one at a time, single target. No AoE, except I did use Lightning Fury a little bit, not too consistently. It puts an armor debuff on the tank, on the bomb, but it's really not, honestly, it's not necessary because the warrior is almost certainly going to be placing an armor debuff on there themselves. I mostly use it for multiple targets because, you know, the armor debuff from the warrior is only a single target. But anyway, as you can see, these trash mobs are really nothing special as long as your people don't pull aggro. And oh my god, believe me, if we started the fight and I pop my cooldowns, instant aggro. There's no way they can hold it off. My spec here is full marks. 51 marks, 12 Nightblade, and 3 Assassin. I actually featured that in a video recently, and I think it's the best spec for DPS for the Rogue, highest DPS spec right now. I'm not positive though. I do want to test that further so I can say for sure, but at the moment I have a good feeling about this spec. Having tried other specs with like Ranger as secondary, they didn't perform as well. I wasn't getting the same numbers. So this pull is 2 big guys which hit really hard and 2 tigers which hit like well, like pussies. And so having one guy tank all 3 of those over there was not a big deal. Yeah, this guy got loose a little bit. There was a little confusion. I think there was an AoE taunt that went wrong and that screwed up the threat. But that's okay. So you know, stuff happens. And then we took that guy down, and it was no problem. We did wipe several times on similar trash groups to this. I don't know if this pull, I don't think this pull was one of them, but there were some other pulls where we did find ourselves wiping on trash simply because of aggro. That was the only issue. We were just, you know, opening up right in the beginning, and then our like top 4 DPS would all die. Maybe a healer would die, you know, that kind of stuff. So once we got that under control, it went a lot smoother. You saw the off tank just pulled a cat off of the guy. We killed the cats last in these groups because they were non-threatening, and then we killed the big guys first. And that's all it takes. Yeah, I'm really happy with my numbers here, especially looking at them again. They're real consistent here, and I'm happy with the damage I'm putting out with this spec for sure. I usually play Ranger, excuse me, I usually play Bard in instances. I was expecting to actually Bard for this raid, but we had a dedicated Bard who took care of everything. And we actually used a line of sight trick. I did not cover this in my video because I didn't even know about it until now, but you can actually take a Bard and you can put the Bard buffs, the Dexterity Strength one and the Intellect Wisdom one, and you can actually put those on the whole raid. Both of them. even though normally you're only supposed to have one per bard per time, right? Well, what you can do is just take the raid, split it up, have your warriors and rogues go to one side, have your clerics and mages go to the other side, and have each group stand at a line of sight, like behind a hedge, and there's plenty of hedges around here. Then have your bard go to one, you know, do the intellect wisdom first, and then go to the other side, and then do the strength dexterity, and then everybody will have the buffs. The buffs will be split in half. It's so easy and so obvious, but I just never done it before until here. And our bard was able to buff everyone appropriately. It was pretty cool. And yeah, as you can see, once it's just the cats, there's nothing to it. All those deaths were aggro related, if I'm not mistaken. There's really nothing else going on with these pulls. Marksman cooldowns are awesome. I love Marksman cooldowns. And it's very short duration, under a minute and a half. Or not duration, rather, but cooldown. So you get them pretty often. Alright, Duke Letareus. Quick run through on this fight. He's actually pretty simple. We had a little trouble with executing. We didn't have enough DPS. Well, I don't know, our DPS was okay. But our main problem was we just didn't manage the shamblers right. We didn't manage the ads right. But anyway, the way this guy works, he has a bunch of ads, and I'll get to those in a minute, but his main things are, he switches between normal phase, which you see him in now, and an enraged phase. He does 4 enraged phases, if I'm not mistaken. The first one hits at 85%, so it's time-based, it's percent-based, rather, not time-based. He hits 85%, and what he does is he casts a spell that basically explodes and kills anyone within melee range, so all your melee have to run out, including the tank. And after he explodes, he switches to the enraged phase, and during that point you have to kite him. Otherwise, he will just kill you. He'll just one-shot the tank, so you have to kite him. The way you kite him is you kill these shamblers, which are these frog-looking things that spawn in the corner. You see one kind of in the top right of your screen, about to die, and when they die, there you go, spread goo on those. See that purple goo on the ground? You kite him through the goo and it slows him down, and then your ranged DPS knocks him down from there. You have to take off 10% of his health during the enrage phase, and he'll go back to normal. And the enrage phases are like 85 to 75. I forgot the middle two, but the last one is 10 to 0. So he'll die at 0 and still be enraged, but until he dies. But anyway, so in between, during the normal phase, he also spawns ads. He has two kinds of ads, two main kinds. The brownies are the melee ones, and we're AoEing them right now. You got to kill them as soon as they spawn. They put a really nasty debuff on the tank that prevents healing. So you have to kill them, you can't just tank them. But they actually don't do that much damage, so you can actually let them kind of spread in the raid and let the AoEers tank them. It's not that big of a deal. As long as you kill them before the debuff stacks up. After he enrages once, he switches to the second type of ads, which are flying things, and I don't have any footage of that, unfortunately, because we did not get that far. I know, it's pretty sad. We tried our best, though. And there's some more brownies. You see the brownies come pretty quick. They're timed based, so you got to get him down as fast as possible so you get less brownies. But anyway, at 50% he summons the third and final type of ad. He only summons them once, and it's a group of fairies on the ground that do a massive AoE and basically just butt rape the raid if you're not ready for it. So at 50% you got to be ready for that. But here you go. See, he's enraging, and the puddles are gone. We don't have any puddles ready. There's a puddle, but it's way out of position. We're trying to AoE down the fairies, or the brownies, so we can get to the boss. So this is really bad. That's what you don't want to do. What you want to do is actually make sure that you have all the ads dead from when he enrages. What happened there was the ad spawn, and we let him enrage. So let's fast forward to a more successful pull. Here, as you can see, we're on, I think, the next to last brownie phase for this pull. I can't remember exactly, but some shamblers, those frog-looking things, got pulled into the raid. We just call them frogs. And because they got pulled into the group, it meant that they were going to be victim of the AoE. Nothing you can really do about that. Just don't let them get pulled in the group. And then he enraged, but we got the ads down, so we're like, okay, cool. Things are going well, and look at him pulling into the goop. So it's working awesome. Problem is, instead of putting the goop in a line like you're supposed to, we had it just in kind of a clump in the middle because of the shamblers getting kind of, pulled in the group when they weren't supposed to. So the tank just had to kind of ring around the rosy here and try to keep the boss in the purple goo, which worked okay until we ran into goo. Yeah, so the shamblers actually respawn after the goo disappears, so you have to pull them and kill them again. But you got to do it quick, man, because as soon as that debuff runs off, which is only a 10-second duration, he's going to get loose, and he's going to chase down the tank. As you can see, he runs a lot faster than tanks. There's no kiting without the goo. And there, the tank's dead. So it was a mighty effort, but ultimately we couldn't do it. We didn't put enough DPS on this boss to get him down in time to get out of the enraged phase. So it's just a waiting game, and then, bleh, yeah, there we go. We had, like, I don't know, a half dozen attempts or so. It wasn't something where we were going in and we're like putting our nose to the grindstone. We're going to beat this boss. It was more like, let's have some fun. Let's kill some mobs. Hopefully get some epics from the trash, which nothing dropped, of course. But it was still fun. I really enjoyed it. We are going to be raiding regularly and take it a little more seriously now that people have seen the instance and are hopefully getting more jazzed about it. We're going to set strict raid times for people to get on so we can actually form up and spend like 3 or 4 hours at a stretch. I don't think we're ever going to be super hardcore. I went through a hardcore raiding phase in WoW, and that was fun, but I've had my fill. I have had my fill. I also went through a very short hardcore raiding phase in the WoW beta when I was doing those raiding videos. That was really fun. That was like 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Yeah, that's the benefit of being unemployed. So yeah, watching the guy just run around and slaughter the raid. Well, that's all for today. I just wanted to show you some gameplay from the Greenscale raid if you're curious about it. Not a lot of strategy guide. I mean, it's kind of a half strategy guide, but we'll publish a much better one when we actually kill bosses. And hopefully Tally's Guild does that, because that would be nice. That would take the onus off of me. But more to come in the future as we progress further. So thanks for watching. This is Crowmar with